Welcome to the Wealthy Life Podcast. I'm Sybil Verch. What if the interest on your mortgage could work in your favor, reducing your tax bill and building your investment portfolio at the same time? Today's guest has spent the past 2 decades helping Canadians do exactly that. Joining us is Robinson Smith, author of Master Your Mortgage for Financial Freedom. And Robinson is going to walk us through what's called the Smith Manoeuvre. Robinson, welcome.
Thank you very much. I'm honored to be a part of what you've been doing here for many, many years, Sybil.
Well, I'm excited to have you because I've been talking to clients about this for 30 years. And I know people are going to be wondering, Sybil, you just said he's been helping Canadians for 2 decades. How come you're going to say 30 years? You've known about this? I didn't make it up. We'll get to that in a minute. But what I'd like to ask you first is, what does living a wealthy life mean to you?
A wealthy life, to me, means having the freedom and the luxury to go for a coffee at 2 p.m. on a Tuesday, or not have to price check and be able to pick up and go on vacation when you wish. It's not necessarily looking at your bank balance and your investment portfolio and seeing, how well you're doing with those numbers. It's knowing that you do have the freedom to do what you want, when you want, and no one's going to suffer. Your friends, your family, everyone's going to be well taken care of.
That sounds pretty good. And I think everyone would want to be able to live a life without money stress and do the things they want to do.
Absolutely. Money stress is the largest, as you know, destroyer of marriages.
Yes.
Money is very personal,
Yes.
and it affects relationships all the time in very, very negative ways. And this is one of the reasons why I'm so proud of what my father developed 40 years ago. I guess I jumped into it a little
Oh, well, this
soon,
is perfect. Yeah. How did this all come to be?
Yeah, well, my father was a financial planner in Vancouver. He co-founded Granville West, which is still going, actually. And when he became a financial planner, he wanted something to offer his clients which not every other advisor was. And he picked up the Tax Act, which is a fascinating read. And he went
how many
it.
pages in that? Like, it's gigantic.
I don't know, probably in the 4 digits. But he came up with, a number of different, I like to say, different pieces of different puzzles on mortgages, on investing, on taxation. And he took these pieces and just pounded them together and made his own puzzle, which enveloped all these 3 different aspects and created this process whereby your typical Canadians, not your wealthy Canadians, your wealthy Canadians are already taking advantage of their debt. They're already making their debt tax deductible because they can afford the fancy tax lawyers and accountants to tell them how to do these things. What my father came up with was a way for average typical Canadians to utilize the same principles that the wealthy have been for years in order to improve their situation.
Yeah, so walk us through, what is the Smith Manoeuvre?
The Smith Manoeuvre is a financial strategy specifically for Canadians. The Americans are fortunate in that they are able to already deduct a good portion of their mortgage interest. We in Canada cannot. The CRA says if you borrow to consume, you cannot deduct the interest. So borrow to buy cars, motorcycles, clothing, restaurants, all that. But if you borrow with the reasonable expectation of generating income, you can deduct the interest. And so what my father developed was this way to convert the non-deductible mortgage interest, because when we get a mortgage, we're borrowing to consume, not to invest.
Right.
It's non-deductible. It's one of the largest expenses in our lives, taxation, mortgage interest. Mm-hmm. It's killing us.
It is.
And so this strategy enables Canadians to convert that non-deductible debt to tax-deductible debt over time, sometimes 18 years, sometimes 5 years, depending on your situation. Mm-hmm. But the only way that you're able to turn this huge liability in your life, this mortgage, into the largest asset is if you borrow to invest. That's how you generate these tax deductions. So you borrow to consume, you don't get any benefit. You borrow to invest. You've got an investment portfolio which is increasing over time. You're generating these tax deductions. Because you're generating these tax deductions you wouldn't otherwise get, your tax savings allow you to make extra payments against your mortgage on an annual basis. Yeah. That's the base case scenario here. So it's this process where I'm paying down my bad debt, replacing it with good debt, and watching my investment portfolio grow over time.
Well, and that is beautiful. And when I mentioned earlier that I've been helping clients with this for about 3 decades. It was based on your father's original book, and then now you've written the revised edition yourself, which is fantastic. But I kept it simple, and we're going to go into a little bit more complex side of things too.
Sure.
And the simple way I would walk clients through it is if they had come to me and they had, say, $500,000 in mortgage and $500,000 in a non-registered investment portfolio, because obviously this doesn't work for RSPs, and we'll get to that later, I'm sure. But they borrowed money to buy their house. So like you said, you cannot deduct the interest on money you borrowed to purchase a home. But they've got $500,000 sitting in their investment account. So I just say, why don't we take that, sell it, pay off your mortgage in full, and then immediately borrow back the mortgage for $500,000 and put it back into your investment portfolio. You're in exactly the same place you started. You have a $500,000 mortgage and a $500,000 investment portfolio.
But there's a big difference.
Yeah, now the paper trail shows that you borrowed money to invest. So there's some catches to that, though. What are some of the things people need to be concerned about before they sell their investment portfolio to execute on this strategy?
Yeah, so in the book, when I describe the Smith Maneuver, it's this gradual conversion process whereby if you've got the right mortgage, you're able to, whenever you make your mortgage payment, say the principal reduces by $1,000, the line of credit limit with the special mortgage increases by $1,000. You can pull that out to invest. And so you do this on a monthly basis. You're borrowing to invest, generating the tax deductions we were talking about, and building this investment portfolio.
Okay, now that's the part I didn't talk through on people. I just made the assumption, just do it once, big lump sum. But the average Canadian doesn't have $500,000 sitting in an investment portfolio to do this.
That is exactly it, Sybil. And that is why my father was so proud of what he developed, and why I'm so proud of him, is that this is for people, for every Canadian, but primarily for your average Canadian who is a bus driver or a cop or a city worker or a postal worker. They don't have $500,000 in investments that they can redeem. One of the things you want to watch out for, which you asked about, was taxation. You want to make sure you're not getting slammed with taxation.
Yeah, if you've got big capital gains on that portfolio, as soon as you sell it, you've got a tax bill to pay there.
Yeah, so you want to watch out with that. But if the math works, absolutely. Sell what you've got in your non-registered portfolio, boom, pay down that mortgage, borrow it back the next day, and buy the same assets. Superficial loss rules come into play there, or different assets if you wish, right? But like you said, you've got the same situation. You've got $500,000 of investments, you've got a $500,000 mortgage, but it's all tax deductible. And that means your tax bill is significantly, year after year after year. So that is what we call the debt swap accelerator, and it is very popular, whether you're able to completely convert your mortgage in one step, like you were talking about, or some people may have $20,000 in investments, right? But they still have a $500,000 mortgage. Well, if they're implementing the Smith Maneuver, now we've got them into this mortgage product, which allows them to borrow back whatever gets paid down on the mortgage and invest. But you can also take your $20,000, $30,000 of mutual funds or stocks or whatever it is, and debt swap it and do a big chunk right off the bat.
Right, so you can do both.
You can do both, absolutely.
Yeah, but doing it monthly, and I think the average person maybe doesn't understand, a typical mortgage, you have to make principal and interest payments. You know, interest only, they used to have products like that. Now it's, I think, line of credit, but interest rates are higher, might be more expensive. But walk us through the mechanics of this. So you're with your financial institution. What do you need to set up? What do you need to ask for?
So firstly, you don't go to your financial institution. What you do is you come to smithman.ca and you'll be requested to be connected with a Smith Manoeuvre certified professional. We've got over 300 and growing quickly across the country. And they're mortgage brokers, they're investment advisors, they're CPAs, tax professionals, they're realtors, they're insurance. So all of these different professionals who you have an opportunity to consult them when you're buying a house for the first time, whether you're refinancing or renewing. let's look at our financial situation while we're gathering the data we need in the financial statements for our mortgage broker or investment advisor, and really look at our situation. So we've got all these different professionals who can help you and surround you and work with you to make sure that you get on plan and follow that plan. And so typically the first stop is a mortgage broker, and our SMCPs will look at all the different lenders, because all the different banks have a re-advanceable mortgage, which is what is required, but they're not all the same. So if you go into your bank, regardless of which bank, say, I want a re-advanceable mortgage, I want to do the Smith Manoeuvre, the employee behind the mortgage desk is going to go, well, I don't know what the heck the Smith Manoeuvre is, but we got a re-advanceable mortgage for you.
Yeah.
And you get one and it's the wrong one, and all of a sudden you can't implement one or more of the 5 accelerators that we have.
Okay, I've experienced this personally. Yeah. I can't tell you how many bankers I've had to walk through what this is and how we need to set it up.
Yeah.
On the basic premise, not even the ongoing monthly that you're talking about. Okay, so you need to work with a professional. No, because you want to make sure it's done right, because if it's not done right, you're going to get in trouble with CRA.
Well, we're dealing with mortgages. It's easy to go wrong. We're dealing with investing. It's easy to go wrong. We're dealing with the CRA. It's easy to go wrong.
Yeah.
And you don't want to get on the wrong side of the CRA.
No.
And one way to do that is to firstly try to do your own tax reporting. Another way is to try to do your own investing. Because, I read the book, and Smith says that if I borrow with a reasonable expectation, if I borrow to invest, I can deduct the interest. So I'm going to borrow to invest in gold bullion. I think gold is, well, you can't deduct the interest on that borrowing because there's no generation of income.
No, and I think CRA requires, it needs to generate dividend and interest income if it's an investment portfolio. Yeah.
Gold bullion, for example, you don't have that potential for income. So people get on the wrong side of this by doing it themselves.
Yeah.
And it's like if you got a 1984 Toyota Corolla and you want to change your own oil or give it a tune-up, pull it out of the garage, do it in the driveway, right?
Yeah.
Read a manual on YouTube. Now you've got a brand new Ferrari when you implement the strategy, and you don't want to do that by yourself. So that was a long way of me getting to how is this actually implemented. So you get the right type of mortgage product, which allows you to, as I was saying earlier, borrow back the principal that gets paid down by your mortgage. Because I've got a mortgage and I pay $3,000 a month. So $2,000 goes to the bank, non-deductible interest. It's gone. Goodbye. I never see it again.
Yeah.
Gone. But $1,000 reduces that principal. So $400,000 mortgage goes down to $399. With the right mortgage product, this attached home equity line of credit, this HELOC, the limit opens up by whatever I paid it down. The two sides talk to each other.
Right.
One side says, hey, I used to be $400,000, now I'm $399. You can open up $1,000. And the other side says, okay, we'll let this person borrow back $1,000. What most Canadians do, wow, $1,000, that's a payment on a 5 Series.
Yeah.
So they spend it, right? And all they do is replace bad debt with more bad debt.
Yeah.
And they're buying assets which do this in value over time.
And that's an important thing. We should pause there for a moment, because I think investor discipline and money discipline comes into play here. Because to make this work, to actually build your wealth, you need to be disciplined in the approach.
Yep.
You can't use that money that is now opened up to borrow to take on bad debt.
We'll be talking about that if we bring up risks.
Okay, we will, we will. Okay, so carry on.
Yeah, so now on a monthly basis, I'm able to pull back out what I've paid down with this mortgage payment that I'm making anyways, whether I'm doing the strategy or not. And I'm buying $1,000 worth of stocks, bonds, mutual funds, ETFs, mix. I can invest in real estate somehow. I can invest in my business, somebody else's business.
Yeah.
And I can deduct the interest on that borrowing because there's this reasonable expectation of generating income with the investments that I purchased.
Yeah.
So I'm buying $1,000 of, let's just call it mutual funds, month 1, month 2, month 3, month 4. So instead of me being a typical Canadian doing what my uncle and aunt told me to do, which is concentrate on paying out your mortgage, son, for the next 25, 30 years, and once that's gone, job well done. Well, times have changed. And if I've done that, concentrated on paying out my mortgage over 25 years, I've necessarily not gotten invested for 25 years. And now I got to go sign up for a reverse mortgage. I got to move in with the kids in the basement. I got to ask them for money.
Yeah.
I got to work in my retirement. So this is the fundamental premise behind the Smith Maneuver is use the equity now while you're as young as you're ever going to be, because chances are you're going to be using your equity when you hit retirement age.
Yes. Yeah.
I no longer work, I no longer have any mortgage, fantastic, but I don't have an income and I haven't been able to save. Oh, I get CPP and OAS.
Yeah.
Forget it.
That's not enough.
That's not enough.
You don't want to be house rich and cash poor.
So you tap in as a senior citizen to the equity of your home at that point to consume, to buy your food.
And then you've missed
To pay car insurance. You missed
all of
that.
the compounding growth. And we all know that it's better to start younger.
Yeah. So what do? We take advantage of the fact that there are two types of debt, non-deductible debt and deductible debt.
Yeah.
And this is a primary reason why the wealthy are wealthy, is because they understand debt and they use it to their advantage.
Yeah.
They don't, like a typical Canadian who is thinking about what granddad said about debt. They're thinking debt is just this one big nasty cloud over
Yes.
the head. If you have it, get rid of it, try not to get any more. No, there's two types of debt. Use it to your advantage like the wealthy do, like corporations do.
Yeah.
You look downtown Vancouver, Toronto, all these big skyscrapers, they got In Lights, the company's name. They got 2
Yes.
floors dedicated to making sure the company has enough debt.
Yes.
You know, the CEO will get a phone call from floor 23. Hey, we don't have enough debt today. Okay, go get more.
Yes.
Right? That's how businesses grow.
Use other people's money
Other people's money.
to build your wealth.
Do it smart. Don't go crazy. Be
No.
reasonable. And you have to have the right mindset. You have
Yes.
to have the right behavior.
Yes.
But anyway, back to finish off.
Yeah.
Keep on going different directions here. To finish off how it works. Well, because for the past 12 months, I've been borrowing out this money to invest it.
Yeah.
The CRA at tax time, after they look at my return, say, oh, geez, Mr. Smith, we took too much money off your paycheck every 2 weeks. You've got all these tax deductions we didn't know about. We owe you a big chunk of cash. And I say, thank you.
Yes.
I would not receive this refund. If I normally get a refund, it's bigger.
Yeah.
And I wasn't going to get that if I wasn't generating these tax deductions through the strategy. So be disciplined. Take that portion of refunds which is due to the strategy and make an extra payment against your mortgage. And the nice thing about this is, year after year, these tax deductions, these tax savings,
Yes.
get larger and larger and larger. Your tax savings do this. So on an annual basis, you have more and more and more to pay down your mortgage.
Right.
Your assets are compounding, and the amount that you spend on your non-deductible interest debt over the course of 25 years,
Yes.
it can be as much or more than the actual mortgage balance.
Yes.
Now, because you're getting rid of that non-deductible debt, not in 25 years, but maybe 20 or 15 or 5,
Yes.
the amount that you're paying in non-deductible interest goes, whew.
And I think in the extreme situation where people are very comfortable with this strategy and have a long time horizon, they may never pay down their mortgage. You know, they just, why would I ever pay off my mortgage when I'll just pay the interest as long as what I'm earning on my investments is higher than the interest I'm paying
Yeah.
on the debt, I'm going to be way further ahead financially.
This relates perfectly to the question that we always get, and we do webinars or whatever the case may be. What happens after I've finished my Smith Manoeuvre? And typically you finished your Smith Manoeuvre when you fully converted your mortgage debt from non-deductible to tax deductible.
Yeah.
So now I got $400,000 of bad debt I've paid down. I got $400 of good. I've also got this investment portfolio that's $900, $1 million, whatever. So, you know, there's that net difference, right?
Yes.
But you're still $400,000 or $500,000 better off to the net. What do I do at that point once I've finished converting my mortgage?
Yeah.
Well, you've got a lot of options. Sometimes someone will say, well, I've completed the job. I love the fact that I've got this investment portfolio. I can draw income from it if I want or when I retire, but I still have that mortgage debt. I get that it's good debt. I
Yeah.
understand it's helped me build this investment portfolio. That's good, but I think I want to sleep better at night.
I don't
Okay.
like it. If people just, they can't
Right.
get over the mindset debt is bad.
And that is perfectly fine, because at that point, you went from a $3,000 monthly mortgage payment,
Yeah.
and then 10 years later, you've only got a $200,000 HELOC payment, interest only.
Yeah.
You were going to pay $3,000 originally for the next 15 years.
Yeah.
So continue to contribute that extra $1,000 and make an extra payment against that HELOC balance and pay it down over time if
You can have
want.
your cake and eat it too.
Sell some of your investments if you want, pay down half. Sell more investments, pay down it all.
Yeah.
You've still got a big chunk of investments over here. So what you were saying earlier, though, is someone who reaches that point in life and says, okay, I see how this works. I had a feeling I would want to pay this down when I completed the conversion process, but now I get what's happening here. If I am using money to pay down debt which only costs me 2.5%, right? Because maybe the rate is 5%, you're at 50% marginal tax rate. The real cost is only 2.5%. Am I going to take money and pay down 2.5% at the expense of not investing it at 7, 8, 9%?
Yeah.
Am I going to sell an asset, which is earning me 8%, to pay down 2.5% money?
Yeah.
The brain says no. The heart may say something completely different, which is fine.
And you're bang on. I mean, there's the emotional side and there's the logical side.
Yeah.
And everyone needs to be aware of which one is the more compelling force behind their decision making, because that's going to help them spot potential issues early on.
Yeah.
If you're an emotional decision maker, then there's probably some extra caution that you need to take. Set this up as a disciplined approach and work with a professional to do it.
That is, we talked earlier about, the behavioral aspect of investing and the discipline required. And that is big here, because there is, on a monthly basis, there's some action to take when we're implementing the strategy. Maybe I have to go online and say, I want to move money from here to here. Maybe I have to pick up the phone and call the bank and it takes me 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever the case may be. There's discipline required there. But you pay your credit card bill every month, you pay your phone bill every month, do this every month, right? Yeah. Then there's the aspect of, well, first thing I do when I wake up is pick up my cell phone. What are the markets doing today?
Yeah.
Yeah, or, right? And if you're that type of person, is this for you or is it not? Because we're investing and markets go up and down, as you know. But the nice thing about what we've set up here at the Smith Manoeuvre is that we've got, as I mentioned, all these different types of professionals who are licensed and experienced in their field, whether it be mortgages or investing or tax, but they're also certified in the Smith Manoeuvre. And so unlike someone who says, I need an accountant, I'm going to go hire that guy. I need an investment advisor, I'm going to go hire that woman. I need a mortgage broker, where do I go? All your professionals, should you wish, when you're engaging in the strategy, they all know each other.
Yes.
They understand the strategy, they speak the same language, and they can surround you like a warm blanket and make sure that you do your transactions.
Yep.
Make sure that after you come back from your vacation, hey, did you do this from the beach?
Yep.
Right? Get back on it if you forgot. And when markets are up, don't get too excited.
Yes.
When markets are down, don't get too scared. No, don't punch out, right? So it's a psychological assistance that these professionals can help with, because if you're a truck driver, if you're a paramedic, if you're a pilot, if you're whoever you are, you're not a professional investor. And having people on your team in all these different disciplines is so very important, because, I mean, I was an investment advisor for a dozen years. And I started in 2006. What happened 2 years later in 2008?
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Markets crashed.
And I saw how important it was to have someone on your side to make sure you don't make rash decisions, right? So being that coach, that backstop is so important for if you're not a professional.
Yeah, it'll help you stick it through so that you can succeed with the strategy at the end of the day. So I'm thinking about the logistics of it. So you work with a professional, you get the account set up, you do this debt conversion strategy on a monthly basis. What paperwork do you need to keep, and how do you track it so that you can report the right amount of tax deductions versus interest income? I mean, the income reporting, I think, is pretty self-explanatory. Your investment portfolio, the financial institution will send you out your tax slips for that. But how do you accurately capture the interest expense when you're doing it on a monthly basis? Yeah,
every institution that we're dealing with sends out statements. So what we need to show to the CRA, should they ever ask to see, right? What we need to be able to show is that, okay, how much came from the home equity line of credit? How much have we borrowed from that HELOC?
Yeah.
And so what we need to do is we need to make sure the flow of funds is nice and clean and traceable. So CRA, if they ask, you hand them one statement, says, okay, the HELOC, I see where the money went. It went to this bank account. And then from this bank account, it went to that investment. Okay, good, thank you.
Okay,
right?
So if you set up the HELOC and you only use that HELOC for this strategy, then all of the interest charged in that HELOC will be related to the strategy. So it's actually easy to track.
And this is where people who try to do it themselves sometimes go off the rails, because you may, once you have this appropriate type of mortgage, start borrowing that $800,000, $1,200 a month to invest, but you've also got available credit just based on the house value and loan to value, all that stuff. They say, oh, my boiler just blew up. I'm gonna pull some money and
stop. Don't do that.
Right? Or I want to buy that little convertible. It's only $20,000 bucks. And they pollute the deductibility of that line. Now there's ways to fix this. It's not fun.
No.
But let's not spoil it in the first place. And so this is where professionals, hey, I want to buy a $20,000 convertible, right? Wife says it's okay.
Yeah.
All right, let's get you that convertible, but let's restructure things before you go ahead and do that. It doesn't take long.
Let's set up a separate line of
do
credit
it
or a
right from
separate
the start.
loan.
Exactly.
Yeah. So what are the risks that people need to be aware of? Because we've talked about, you can make hundreds of thousands of dollars and more with this strategy over your lifetime. It's significant, but what's the downside? What could go wrong?
The risks are a typical Canadian, maybe they aren't investing until they hear about this, they read the book, they buy the book, or get it checked out from the library for free, right?
Yeah.
But they learn about the strategy, they start doing the strategy, they're going to be investing. Maybe they weren't investing before, maybe they were investing just a little bit or had something that was just sitting there for a while. But you've got market risk because now you're buying assets which go up and which go down. And we talked earlier about the behavioral aspect of this and making sure you're able to handle the ups and the downs and all that. But you are getting invested, so there are going to be market swings, which you're very, very familiar about.
Yeah, because typically, I got to chime in here, typically this strategy does not make sense if you were just a GIC investor.
Correct. I mean, technically, you could deduct the interest, but
you're not probably going to earn enough on the GIC, and then that's fully taxable income for this to work.
Yeah. So stay away from that on the investing side. But you do want to be cognizant of the fact that your values are going to go up and down.
Yeah.
And so suck it up, Buttercup. This is what investing entails. This is what becoming better off financially, becoming wealthy needs. It's what it requires, because you're not going to get that by getting a raise.
Yes.
Right? So if you want to take that step to really make sure your family's financially secure, you need to invest, whether it's through the strategy or not.
Well, even the Canada Pension Plan invests that way.
Yeah, that's investing.
You talk about police officers, maybe teachers, pilots, anyone that has a pension plan themselves. The pension plan invests that way.
That's right.
Yeah, but yet the average investor who doesn't understand investing yet maybe feels a little bit nervous.
Yeah, because there's no buffer. There's no pension plan buffer. They're not watching the actual investment that they're relying on for retirement. They're not watching it go up and down.
I remember being at a conference once, and one of the keynote speakers was speaking to a group of advisors and said, as an advisor, when you talk to your clients, you can tell them, I can either make you wealthy or I can make you comfortable, sleep at night. You can't have both. Which one do you want?
Which one do you want? Yeah, and so that's and as an advisor with over 500 families as clients, I've seen them all.
Yes.
Right? As have you. But market risk, accept it.
Yeah.
Make friends with it. Interest rate risk.
Yes.
Because now we're borrowing at least on a monthly basis to invest. And so there's a rate attached to that home equity line of credit.
Yes.
Rates as well go up and go down.
Yeah.
Accept it. In a certain respect, well, you have, as a homeowner, already accepted rate risk because that mortgage you got before you even heard about the Smith Manoeuvre has a rate attached to it.
You've got that interest rate risk
Rate risk is there. But now there is that secondary component of borrowing, which also has some rate risk. But the nice thing about the Smith Manoeuvre is whether rates are high or low, it still works. My father developed the strategy in the mid-'80s. What were interest rates doing then?
Oh, they were going through the roof.
Going through the roof, double digits. And if this strategy did not work with double-digit interest rates, we wouldn't be sitting here today. There wouldn't be 2 books written about it.
Yes.
It wouldn't exist.
Yes.
So know that. When rates are high, when rates are low, you're getting benefit on one side of this or the other. So market risk, rate risk, investment risk. Again, this is where we want to use a professional.
Yeah.
Don't convince yourself that you know better than everybody else. You know, when you get home from your 9-to-5 shift at the factory or whatever,
Yes.
use a professional. Don't take this money and go to Vegas with it, right? Your cousin's internet startup is probably a bad idea. Nothing against your cousin. But you want to make sure that you're investing in something that is relatively safe. It's got some growth exposure to it.
Yes.
Behavioral risk, as we've talked about, is a big one.
Yes.
And just implementation risk. Like I said, there are people out there. I met with this one young man. My office was in Victoria at the time, and this person was in Calgary. And I flew out Calgary, Edmonton, Vancouver. I did that once a month, that circuit. And I met with this person. And I had this 2-hour presentation I used to go through and talking to potential clients, and yellow pad, and money's going here, it's going there, and writing everything out. And this guy, he was really intent. He was watching this, and I said, okay, well, thank you very much. And I never heard from him again. Until 3 or 4 years later, when he came back and said, yeah, I blew myself up.
Oh, no. What happened?
He got his own mortgage.
Yeah.
He did his own investing. He did his own tax reporting. He didn't want to pay anybody else to do this.
Yeah.
So that implementation risk is a big one. But try to get past it, everybody. Like whether it's ego or whether you feel loyalty to your bank or your advisor or whatever it is, try to get past it, because we're not here to gamble. We're here to make sure that you and your family are financially comfortable and secure, and that sooner rather than later, you are able to go have a cup of coffee at 2 o'clock on a Tuesday.
Yes.
And not have to check prices and all of this.
So you need a good financial advisor that is going to manage your portfolio properly, suitable for you. Have you come across any circumstances where advisory firms give pushback to the strategy? Because it is a borrow to invest strategy, and the regulators consider that aggressive or high risk, which it's not when you look at it from the big picture, as you have explained. They just look, you're borrowing money to invest. Ooh, that's high risk. So when someone from one of these medium-sized or large investment advisories pushes back on the strategy for whatever reason, the response is to ask them a question about the strategy. Do they know the answer to it? Right.
9 times out of 10, 9.5, 9.9 times out of 10, they can't answer the question.
Right.
Well, I know what the Smith Manoeuvre is. No, you don't.
Yes.
But to answer the regulatory side of things, the regulators have a very, very difficult job to do.
Yeah.
We're talking about the organizations that regulate investment advisors, mutual funds, and they sell stocks and all this stuff. They have a very difficult job, which is to protect the investors.
Yes.
The point I want to make is, especially when 08-09 happened, leverage was a big, scary word.
Right.
The regulators do not like anything that smells of leverage. And so they would tell the dealers, investment companies, we don't like leverage.
Yeah, no
and
leverage.
So they would say, okay, well, hey, go down below them and say, hey, advisors, don't do any leverage.
Yeah.
Regulators don't like it. So there was this fear of engaging in anything that smelled of leverage to the detriment of Canadian homeowners.
Yes.
Or even non-homeowners. But what we need to remember here is this is not a leverage strategy, because the leverage has already happened.
Yes.
If you are coming to talk to me about the Smith Manoeuvre and I ask you, do you have a mortgage? And you say yes, that's where the leverage occurred.
We're just converting it from bad debt to good debt.
You had zero debt, then you went to the bank, got a mortgage, boom, now you have debt. That's where the leverage occurred.
Yes.
All we're doing is changing the nature of it from bad debt to good debt. So we're converting it. And when we talk about the subject of leverage, there's different types of leverage, right? There's I can go and borrow money to invest, right? Now I've increased my debt. I can borrow money to buy a house. I've increased my debt. I can borrow money to buy a car that's going to depreciate in value. I've increased my debt and made a poor decision on this asset. Or I can borrow to invest. I can't get at that money to pull out and invest unless I first pay down that debt over here.
Right.
First pay down, then pull it back. And like you were talking about earlier, you're still in the same position. Whereas at the beginning of the month, I had a $500,000 mortgage against my home. I still have a $500,000 mortgage against my home, but I've improved my tax bill. I've started an investment portfolio, which is all going to enable me to get rid of this bad debt faster.
Yes, it's going to build up your net worth.
Yeah.
And I think it just needs some explanation if it's pushed back on, which makes sense. And hence the books out there. So do you have a real life example that you can share with us of someone who has done this, what their financial situation was and how much better off they were at the end of?
Well, I had when I was actively advising well over 500 families as clients.
Yeah.
Some of them we'd see, a 25-year mortgage, we'd have them convert that in 23 because they didn't have a whole lot of other things going on. Some of them, 25-year AM, or maybe they came to me with 23 left or 22 or whatever, and we see that going down to 5 or 4 because they had some rental properties and they were able to take advantage of the cash flow dam. Accelerator.
Yes.
And they could also do the debt swap that we talked about earlier, sell some investments, do that. Let's turn on the DRIP accelerator. Let's do some cash flow diversion against this. And
so what's it cost people to get advice on this? You mentioned they can reach out. The rich are doing it. They've got big teams of people doing this, but this is affordable for the average Canadian. So explain that.
When you go to your bank to get a mortgage, there's no, you don't pay for the privilege of getting a mortgage.
There's no extra fees associated with that.
You're not paying $500 or $1,000 for getting a mortgage at your bank. When you go to a mortgage broker, the mortgage broker gets paid by the lender.
Yes.
So you don't pay the mortgage broker. The difference is when you go to a mortgage broker, they got a whole bunch of different products that they can look at and decide which is best for you.
Right.
Whereas the bank employee's got 1 or 2, right?
Yeah.
But the further advantage of going to a Smith Manoeuvre certified professional mortgage broker is that they know all the different re-advanceable mortgages, and they can say, based on your situation, Sybil, this is what you want.
Yes.
Based on your situation, Dan, this is the one you want. But they get paid by the lender.
So they're not going to charge you an extra fee for this.
If you want to say, hey, I want someone in my corner, a mortgage broker is once every 5 years. You get a Christmas card and now it's time to renew and they want business. If you want them in your corner for this, you can make an arrangement with them to follow you and pester you and make sure, hey, we did this plan for you, you're following it.
You hire them as an accountability partner.
You can hire them as an accountability partner if you wish. You don't have to. On the investment side, if you've got one of the investment advisors, I mean, sometimes they get paid by embedded commission by the investment companies where you're, right? Or if you go and talk to a CFP, you can do a financial plan, whether you're doing the strategy or not, and you can pay them to get that all laid out. But if they're SMCP, Smith Manoeuvre Certified Professional, they will incorporate the Smith Manoeuvre. So
there's no extra cost because when you go work with a financial advisor who's been trained in this and understands it, can help you set it up.
They've already got their payment schedule.
It's included in their fee structure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's great.
You always have the opportunity to say, I want more from you.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's fine. That'll be a decision that you make, but you don't have to. And whether you go to a tax professional who is an SMCP or not, I mean, they're going to charge you probably about the same.
Yes.
But one has the knowledge and the contacts with your other professionals and direct access to myself and my team and 4 to 8 hours of training on a weekly basis and all these, the access to the calculator that we've developed for this. And the other one doesn't.
Yeah.
But,
So this is great. So we've gone through what the Smith Manoeuvre is, how to convert bad debt into good debt so you can reduce your taxes, build your wealth, build up your investment portfolio, use your tax refunds if you want to pay off the debt even faster, convert it even faster. This is going to be compounding growth over time. They can read the book to get a better understanding of it, but don't read the book and do it by yourself, is what I'm hearing. Go see a professional to see if this is a fit for you and implement it. Is there any question that I haven't asked you that I should have?
Is this legal?
Oh, is it legal? Probably because I already know the answer, but you tell me.
Well, there are a lot of people out there that ask this question because there's got to be something wrong with this.
Yeah, what's the catch?
So is it legal? And the answer is yes. I mean, all we're doing here, I mean, for well over 100 years, the CRA, the government, has said, okay, if you borrow to invest within certain boundaries, you can deduct the interest. Wealthy do it, corporations do it, governments do it, right? Now, your typical Canadian is doing it. And that's all we're doing. Is the fundamental principle here is deduct the interest on the borrowed money.
Yeah. Create
this investment portfolio. So that's all we're doing. If it were not legal, as I said earlier, there wouldn't be 2 books written about it. We wouldn't have 300 plus professionals across the country from coast to coast who are actively helping Canadians implement the strategy. My dad passed away in 2011, but he liked to tell the story. This is, I don't know when this was, but he said, yeah, one day I was in my office and the buzzer went from the front of the office there. My assistant, she says, Fraser, there's 2 men in suits here. They want to see you. They don't have an appointment. Well, who are they? They're from the CRA. Oh, send them in. My dad was giddy like a schoolboy. Right? And he says, perfect. He sits these guys down. He gets his yellows out. He's doing this. And the guys are like this. And pretty soon they're like this, And then one of them says, would this work on a $70,000 mortgage?
Oh.
And they left. Fraser never heard from them again, but which is as big an endorsement you're going to get from something like the CRA, right?
I've had 2 clients audited.
Yep.
Both passed with flying colors.
There you go.
And it was all about the paper trail.
Yep, it's paper trail.
Yep, which is great. Oh, what a great story. I thank your father and you for coming up with this strategy, taking the time to write the book and educate Canadians to help them get ahead so that they can live their version of a wealthy life too.
Well, I very much appreciate the time, and thanks, Fraser, for developing what is really helping a lot of Canadians who are, a lot of people are just trying to keep their nostrils above the waterline.
Yeah.
With taxation, cost of housing, and all that. And we've got an answer, and if it's right for them, we're here to help them.
Thank you, Robinson. It's been a pleasure.
Indeed, it has.
And thank you to our audience. We love you. Thank you so much for your follows, your shares, your likes. What would you like us to cover next time? Let us know at thewealthylife.com. As always, please seek independent professional advice before taking action. We are here to provide information to help you learn and ask the right questions to make smart decisions so you can live the wealthy life.